Okay, get the music dialed way the heck down here. All right, we are live, and this camera angle kind of sucks. Not exactly shocked by that, but hey, whatever. See my microphone here. I think I'm gonna adjust that just a little bit in. Give me 1 second. Okay, that's a little better. I'm not like a little thing on the screen now, so. Okay, we are going to work on the Voron project. I have had so many trials and tribulations with this project since I got going with it. But I think I'm finally at a point where I'm pretty confident with the direction we are going. Let me make an adjustment. Hello, hello, hello. Just checking audio levels. Okay. I feel like the music's probably a little loud yet. Drop that down a little. Can I have the V8 Can Cup file for free? No, not right now. Currently, the V8 Can Cup file is only available to patrons on Patreon. Folks who help me pay the bills. It will be coming free and available for everybody eventually, but at the moment, it's still just for Patreon folks. Can't hear music. You won't hear music on TikTok. I'm live on YouTube right now. Hi, folks on YouTube. That's where you'll hear some music, but it's only like background music. Doesn't really matter. So if you want to hear the music, head over to Patreon so you can check out, or not Patreon, sorry, YouTube, so you can see like the actual better view of what's going on here, what we're working on. This project has been a complete pain in my butt this entire time. For somebody who asked there, Voron is a custom-built computer. It's a computer built from, a custom-built 3D printer. It's a printer built from scratch, basically, and it's just I don't know how to put it. It's a process to build one for sure. I want to check out here. Am I dropping frames? I can't tell. It says 0 dropped frames, but my feed over on YouTube. Folks on YouTube, let me know if there are any issues with the feed that you're getting. It looks all good on my end, but I can't say. I am planning to print something on it today. When the V8 Can Cup comes out for free, it will have all the additional parts to it. I don't want to put it out for free until the whole ecosystem is complete. An oil pan, a handle, a camshaft. I want to make a complete thing before I put it out there, so. Alright, cool. So, we are moving forward with this. Working on the Voron project, we are setting out to print with this thing today. I've got to tidy up the extruder wiring on this, and then I should be able to move forward. I could realistically print right now, but I wanna clean up things a little bit before I dive into printing, because it's one of those, like, if I just get to printing with the thing, I'm never going to double back and fix this stuff, which I need to. So, all right. Now the all right. First things first, I'm going to address the wiring a little bit. Since the last stream where I talked about this thing or showed this thing, I have completely changed a handful of things up. We've switched to a Bondtech LGX Extruder. Let me flip it around here and I can probably show the camera a little better what's going on. Sorry folks on TikTok, we are over here on YouTube getting a better look at what's going on. So we got the Bondtech LGX Extruder on this thing, which is the large gear unit they have. Try to see how fast you can print a benchy. That's a goal. That's not a goal today. We'll probably get to a benchy today, but I'm not going to try and print it. I'm going to try and print it faster than I've ever printed a benchy, but you know what I mean. Like, I need time tuning and working on this thing to get to the point where we can speedboat benchy print. That'll come, but not right now. So, Bondtech LGX Extruder, the original extruder assembly, the Mini-Afterburner, it just wasn't working for me. It was hard to get filament through. Let me adjust the focus on this. Okay, that looks a little better. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, this original design, the Mini-Afterburner that these come with, the way that they're intended to be put together, is so enclosed, and it's just hard to see. You can't see the gears turn. You can't see anything about the operation of this thing to see if it's clogged, if it's a problem with your extruder. I already had one extruder motor burn out on this thing so far, which I don't believe was my fault. It seemed to just be a bad motor. It was getting super piping hot even at the low amperage settings, but it should have been able to run at higher amperages, so it seemed like a problem with the extruder. But yeah, it's just been an uphill battle getting to this point. So I installed the Bondtech LGX Extruder for a different and hopefully better extruder experience. It's a lot easier to service by a long shot, and so far it's actually working for me too, whereas the previous one just wasn't. So yeah, hopefully that actually works out and we can actually get to printing. I just want to tidy up the wiring, and then we're going to print the Voron cube on this thing yet today, and probably a benchy as well. So let's get into the wiring. I'm going to flip this back around so you can see the wiring, and I can work here. Doesn't look like that's in focus. Let me adjust one more time. That's better. Oh, I see DuPont connectors. There's all kinds of stuff floating around here. DuPonts and all kinds of whatever. Why go with ASA versus PETG? The ASA holds up to temperatures better, higher temperatures. And the PETG housing... So I had printed the shroud for this thing in PETG previously, which is this, and I love this color. It's the color theme of this project, but what I found is when I heated this thing up and the hot end up and started like tightening the nozzle. If I tried to tighten the nozzle in, I felt like the hot end was wiggling a fair bit. So I reprinted the hot end housing, this part, in ASA to see if that would hold up better, and it did. It doesn't wiggle, it doesn't move, so it seemed like this thing was getting just hot enough, this material was getting just hot enough that it was giving a little more than I cared for. And I wasn't even hot. I wasn't even in hot settings because I was using PLA at that point. So once it comes to actually printing ASA with this thing, I would have been pushing way higher temperatures and it would have become a problem. So we are currently just going with this. Can I do picture in picture? Yeah, it's an itty bitty picture in picture of the up there in the corner, but I'm there. So, okay. We're going to work on this thing a little bit here. I need to tidy up this extruder wiring. I'm using a standard nozzle, 0.4 millimeter. Could I go bigger to print faster or stay where I am? Real novice. I would recommend you stay where you are for now. You will absolutely print faster with a larger nozzle, which is great. Do can cups fit in the V0? Some of my smallest ones, like the barrel and the can keg, will, but most of them won't. So I will absolutely be playing with seeing how fast I can print, like probably one of my grenades. That'll be a good one. We'll try and print one of my grenades on this thing as fast as we can. That'll be fun. I would recommend learning with 0.4. Just work on dialing in 0.4 and really figure out printing before you get yourself into let's switch. Before you get yourself into adjusting larger nozzles. Like I'm using a 0.8 millimeter nozzle back here right now on the big barrel that I've been printing, the huge barrel cup that I'm printing. And it's taken some tuning to get that right. And if you don't have the knowledge to go with that, that tuning might be really difficult to figure out. So I would stay away. Here from TikTok, welcome. Thank you for being here. Let's take back to this angle. Okay, let's work on the wiring with this thing. I just need to tidy this all up here. And this wire is way longer than it needs to be, but I don't think I want to shorten it today because I'm not 110% that this extruder assembly is going to stay on here. I think it will, but I don't know. How are you liking the Anycubic Cobra? I don't have one. Anycubic has never sent me a printer, so I have zero input on it. I've never run one of their FDM printers. I have a resin Anycubic printer, but never played with the Cobra, the Viper, or the Cobra Max. Anycubic, if you're out there, they follow me, and we're friends on TikTok, but they have never sent me anything. It'd be nice if they did. I'd love to play with like the Cobra Max. I could really have some fun with like a 400mm printer, but so far, I've not played with it. So, okay. I gotta figure out, I want to sleeve this wiring. I don't want to leave it looking like this. So I still do have to remove this connector on here. What I'm gonna do first, before I remove the connector, little trick for you folks, super easy thing you can do when you're doing wiring work. It's not beer, it's tea. Is take a photo. If you're disassembling connectors, or even if you're just unwiring things, like you're pulling connections apart, take a photo. Pull out the cell phone, snap a photo so you know exactly how it goes together. That way I can depin this and I don't have to pay attention to the wire orientation, because I can always just refer back to that picture and then I'm good. I know. So I'm gonna grab a little bit here so I can depin this connector. And now I'm just gonna press these little pins in. What am I drinking in the Pyrex cup? It is tea. It's tea for my voice. When I do these live streams, my voice really gets strained, so I drink a cup of tea. It dropped out there for a second. Computer's looking good on my end. I keep having mild stream issues with YouTube, but I have a gigabit internet connection to my house, and it seems to be solid, rock solid, and the computer's wired to Ethernet, like I'm not on Wi-Fi. Makes no sense. So, that's a thing. These connectors. Thoughts on the S1? I don't know. I have not played with the S1 personally to give real input on it. To me, it seems like they made a handful of things proprietary on the design that I don't care for. Like you can buy the extruder separately, but like buying parts for the S1 is where I'd be concerned. It's just not at the point yet where you can pick up parts, which is the problem I have with a lot of other printers. It's why I recommend the Ender 3 mostly, the main Ender 3, because you can get parts anywhere and information, and that's just not true of the S1 so far. You know, if you have to get your parts from Creality, that's going to be a problem. Looking to record prints. Any suggestions on best thing to use? I mean, best thing to use is an expensive camera setup, but I don't know what your budget is. And what are you looking to do? Live stream them? Or do really cool time lapses? Or, you know, like, how's the barrel so far? It's almost done. I just made the last color change on it right before this print, before this live. God, these connectors aren't pulling. These aren't depinning very nicely. There we go. Out you come. Yeah, so the barrel is on its last color change. It's got about 2 hours left. Good time lapses, then you're going to want Octoprint, probably, as the simplest setup. Octoprint and a webcam. Look into that. Octolapse is the way that most folks do the good, cool time lapses, where it stops at or takes a picture at every layer. Honestly, that big barrel is turning out way better than I expected. I didn't run out of brown filament. I really expected that I was going to. You can repair an Ender 3 with a brick and a string. You are not wrong about that. MacGyver would love the Ender 3. Alright, let's get this off of here. This tag, it's just warning me about current limits. I am aware of what the current limit is on this motor, so I don't need that. Thank you. Okay, next thing. I'm going to sleeve this with braided sleeving like I have up here on the main extruder chunk. And part of that is I need to shove all of these wires through there. So in doing that, I need to not have them get all snagged up here. Do you accept commissions for prints? Not for the most part. I do. It is Octoprint. That is it. You are spelling it correctly. And is it easy to use? It's easy to use in basic functions. Getting good time lapses and all that, that's a whole experience that I really can't explain here. I just don't do it for the most part because I don't feel like putting the time into it. Okay, I need tape. Off to a great start in the stream. I gotta find tape. I'm gonna rob some off of this roll. I just need a piece of painter's tape to put on the end of this. Or actually, you know what? No, never mind. I'm forgetting. I'm gonna use a bit of heat shrink, put it over here, and now I'm gonna heat shrink this, and that'll allow me to slip it through the connection a lot easier. Don't apologize for asking questions. I have zero problem with it. Love it. It makes for a great stream. Okay, so now I gotta route this wiring. I'm gonna throw a zip tie on this temporarily so I can get a ballpark idea of where this wiring is going for a length on the loom that I'm gonna put on it. It sucks. The original extruder I had loomed through this main chunk with the rest of this, and I don't feel like dealing with feeding this new one through there. I should try. You know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it one shot. If it doesn't go smoothly, I'm gonna do it separately. So prepare to watch me give up real quick. I'm gonna straighten this out a little bit. Is the Voron able to make a clone of itself? Well, there's a lot of electronics and metal frame parts. Not a lot of metal frame parts. So the printed parts, absolutely it could, but which extruder did I go with? I went with the Bondtech LGX. I decided to go with the Bondtech LGX on this. That's actually working pretty smoothly. Awesome. So looks like we're gonna get back through the same chunk of braiding. I love it. It's gonna look a lot cleaner than a separate one. I've got to pull this up. I've probably reached the limit there. Feed this. Come on, you can make it. Yeah, there's the end of it. Boom. Oh, that went so much smoother than I thought it would. That went so much smoother. Oh, heck yeah. All right. Cool. That is a huge weight off of my mind. It's just gonna look a lot cleaner too. Printed parts, absolutely. This will be fully capable, except the skirts. These skirts that are down here on the bottom of the Voron V0, it could not produce those. They're too big. So it couldn't 100% produce itself. The Voron, the larger Vorons, sure. Okay, I'm gonna put some zip ties just to clean up this wiring up here. Let me adjust this camera angle real quick. You folks can see what I'm doing a little better then. Anybody who's not familiar, we are live on YouTube right now. YouTube.com/MandicReally. MANDICREALLY. I need to see this side. I can zip these wires together a little better. Alright. Cool. Alright. This is going... I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Don't say it, Alan. Working on finishing up the wiring on this, and then we're going to get to printing it. Does Voron need a Raspberry Pi to work, or you can run standalone on Marlin? This configuration you cannot run standalone on Marlin. I am running a Raspberry Pi Pico board, or no, I'm sorry, a BigTreeTech Pico board, which requires Clipper. It only runs on Clipper. Pretty much everybody you could run a Voron on Marlin. It can be done. It's not preferred. RepRap or Clipper are the preferred methods because these machines are mostly about printing fast and those firmwares are a little more suited to that. So could it be done on a like different one? Sure. But on this particular setup and this particular configuration, no. This board is only intended to run Clipper so far. I think I've heard people talk about like configuring it to run other firmwares, but I don't know why you would on this one. Alright, let's get a zip tie around this thing. I gotta get this wire loom down here so it's nice and in there and protecting the wires properly. I don't like that. Pull this a little tighter. It's not quite as tight as I would like. Alright, that's just gonna have to be. I'm probably gonna come back and mess with this. There's actually, this setup that I'm using has a position to put a piece of Bowden tube in here. 250% root beer barrel is printing in the background over there. But yeah, it's still going. It's got like 2 hours left. All right, now I can put this into the strain reliever down here. What's going on in the YouTube chat? Get this through here. All right. I've also got the tiny Goblin Benchy. That's printing right now as well. Folks asked about printing that with a 0.2 millimeter nozzle. Can you use BigTreeTech to run Octoprint, or is it Raspberry Pi only? You can run Octoprint on things other than a Raspberry Pi, but Raspberry Pi is the preferred method. I've shown videos on how to run run Octoprint on Android devices. Like I used an old cell phone, an old tablet's a good one. Or you can also run it on a Linux computer. You can run it in Windows, but it's difficult. More difficult. I'll actually have a couple of videos about running something along the lines of Octoprint in the very near future. I just don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. This is not the 250% barrel. That is going over there in the corner right now. It's still printing. It's got, I think, about an hour and a half, 2 hours left on it. All right. That is in there. Now I've got all this excess wire, but I'm not too worried about that right now. I want to get this kind of ducted, sorted through here so I can get a feel for where we're headed. Come on. Not a lot of room in here, and when I'm setting things up, trying to give the camera a view of things, it's hard to keep myself, hard to work on things myself. Reached all the way to London, by the way. Awesome. Welcome to the stream. Okay. Now I'm going to put some strain relief fucking in here. I designed this strain relief myself, so I'm grouping basically the whole trunk of wires through the middle here. All the motors, sensors, pretty much everything except for the bed wiring goes through this middle. I want to keep this as clean as I can. Love from Canada, welcome. I wonder if you can run Octoprint on an old Chromebook. I've been meaning to do some videos about that. I've actually got a project. I've got a like 10-year-old netbook over there. I picked up some like new RAM and such for, and one of a project I want to work on soon is upcycling that to run Octoprint, because it's a low power device. It's, you know, it was a netbook. It's not a very strong thing, but I think it will run Octoprint. The hard part's going to be that it's a 32-bit processor, because it's that old, and getting it all to run might be a bit of a challenge. I'm going to give it a try and play with it. I've also been meaning to, for a while, go buy a brand new... You could buy a netbook for like 100, 150 bucks. Go buy a brand new netbook and just use it. I've been meaning to do a video about, like, can you 3D print with a netbook? So go buy it, use it to slice designs, download designs, maybe use like Tinkercad online designing, and also then turn it into an Octoprint instance. So that is on my radar. I've been meaning to do it for months, but it's just, I've got so many projects going, and then spending $150 on something to sit on the shelf, you know, I gotta make some time. Okay, I'm going to run this with some of these other wires down to the bottom and up under the board, as I did with some of the other stuff. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to get this Raspberry Pi plug out of here, so it's out of my way. Okay, motor wiring, I got it running. You know what, I'm gonna run this with the other motor wires, I think. I ducked them all off right here. Adjust this camera angle again. Never a good enough angle. Okay. Now I need to duck this through here. Where are you going? It's heading off into no man's land. Can't see it. I do have plans to build a Voron 2.4. In fact, I've got most of the parts already to do it. I just want to get done with this. So yes, I totally plan to build a bigger Voron. I already have most of the parts to do it. I chose to start with the V0, and I mildly regret that decision, but here we are. The dragons that come out of this must be so dragony. I don't know, I don't print those dragons, so... I'm not much for doing the trends. Is the Voron V0 a good first printer? Absolutely 150% no. The Voron V0 is not a good first printer. Voron machines in general are really only for people who are experienced. They are designed, intended, and made to be that way. And that's just kind of like the way it is, and that you got to be kind of okay with that. They are absolutely a much more advanced thing, and they expect you to be more advanced building one of these. So a lot of the plans and the instructions and the information that's available out there is just it's tailored to people who are experienced. So no, I would never recommend a Voron in any way, shape, or form. Even if you buy one, somebody else builds it for you, I wouldn't. Why mildly regret it? The V0 is just a much bigger project than it seems like. When I started with this, I was like, oh, I'll build the smaller one first. That ought to be easy. And everybody said let me get this through here. Everybody kind of said, oh, the V0 is much harder to build than it seems. It's like, it's deceiving. And they are absolutely right. This is significantly harder to build than it seems. It's very fiddly. There's a lot of tiny little stuff you got to deal with. And it's just that way. It just is. It is what it is. I'm glad I did it. And I'm really happy to have the machine. But it is absolutely a bigger project than I had hoped it would be. Okay. I don't know if I can get this through here. got one I want to get through here. It's hard to reach. One zip tie. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Come on, needle nose. I'm gonna pull this connector out. This end stop plug's gotta go. Oh wait, that's not an... Yeah, it isn't. No, that's not an end stop. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's a fan. Fan connection. What's happening? I'm working on wiring this thing so I can get the first prints off of it. I mean, like, you know, building this thing, I built this harness. This wiring harness, I did not buy any component, kit, anything. And even the kits that are available are like not complete. So they expect you wire by wire to build this thing. And so, like, if that sounds like something you have fun with, which I had fun with it, but, you know, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for a beginner. So it's not just, like, point A to point B connections. It's literally what wire goes to what connection on what terminal, on what pin. And you have to know that. You have to know how to find that out. Especially once you start, like I did, modifying things to slightly different configurations, then it even gets snowballs out of effect even more. Sounds stressful but fun. That is accurate. What sort of programming is involved with building a Voron? Really not much. You've got to install the OS on the board and then on the Raspberry Pi, which requires SSHing, remote accessing the Raspberry Pi at a couple of points. You've got to configure your config files, which are actually very straightforward. And that does involve some custom setup, but it's all pretty straightforward in guides. I would say the programming portion of it, if you in any way are comfortable with SSHing or programming anything, it's very straightforward. I did manage to get a Raspberry Pi Zero 2W. I did manage to. I actually got two of them. All right, last zip tie on that portion. Is that a jug of tea, basically? Where was it going here? Nick, welcome. Is the barrel messed up because you have to fix the machine? No, I managed to salvage the barrel. I just completed the last color change. It's got like an hour and a half, 2 hours left on the barrel. I salvaged it. I am so happy. I actually had 2 screw-ups on that. I had to fully disassemble the extruder on that thing. The barrel that I'm printing in the background here right now, we can't see at this camera angle. I had to disassemble my BQ H2 extruder while it was hot, 220 degrees. I burned my middle finger on this hand, and I had to clear a clog on it twice on that print. 24-hour print, and I had to do it to save it. I'm trying to build a custom gaming PC and plan to put in 10 terabyte of storage. I'm assuming you're trying to say. God damn it! I don't know. I'm stuck in this. Go away. There. Okay. Can we see the barrel? Give me 1 second. What program would you recommend for writing, editing config files? I personally use Visual Studio. Visual Studio is what I use. I use it on both my Mac and on my PC. Notepad++ is a good one as well. So Visual Studio or Notepad++. I like Visual Studio because you can also use it for SSHing. So you can remotely access like the Pi via Visual Studio. That's a great thing. Is there a reason you didn't slice the barrel up into pieces and glue it together? Because I don't like doing that. I'd rather just print it as one complete thing. It's more challenging, more interesting to me. Just didn't want to, pretty much, yeah. Best 3D printer for somebody starting on a budget. Anybody want to answer them? I know what the answer is, and you probably know what my answer is. Creality Ender 3. Okay, I'm going to try and give you folks a quick view of the barrel printing. I got to change the camera angle 1 second. There it is. Let's go check it out. Okay, real quick. There it is. Flip this camera angle around. Why? They moved everything in this stupid. Why did you move everything? There it is. Only got that much left on it. What's it say? Hour and 26 minutes, supposedly. So, there it is. Okay. Back to what I was doing here. Back to the Voron. Okay. Sorry about that, folks on YouTube. Folks on TikTok demanded to see the barrel. Found engravings on TikTok? Do you mean laser engraving? I have not seen... I've seen plenty of people playing around with them. I have one. I kind of really don't like it, so I don't talk about it much. I should really just talk about the fact that I don't like it. Let's get this in here. I have the X-Tool D1 that they sent me, and it's just... I don't know. Like, it's not a bad machine. I just don't care for it personally. Get this connection in here for the Raspberry Pi. Benchtop engraver. No, I don't know, but I've seen any of that on here. I'm sure somebody's doing it, but can't say I've seen it. Okay. Extruder is up to here. I just got to cable route it up around these wires, these other motor wires. And clean up this wiring up here. I'm probably just going to loop this, put a zip tie around it. And I don't want to cut off this excess. I could do that, but I just don't want to. How'd you flip the button? You have to hit the enhance button down in the corner where you would usually hit to like put a beauty filter on. And yeah, that you hit that button, the enhance button, and that will that gives you the flip camera option. The Focus 20-watt laser. It's not actually 20 watts. 20 watts is the power consumption. It's only a 5-watt output laser as far as I'm aware, unless they're coming out with a new unit. X-Tool just came out with a 20-watt output unit. Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense where they put that damn button now. Yeah, I don't think the Focus one is actually 20 watts. It's 20-watt power consumption, 5-watt laser output. I just don't like these diode lasers. They're too weak. Yeah. The colors that I represented in that video showing the barrel were just demonstrating. The color change points. I wanted it to be brown and silver. I just didn't fit that into that video. Never enough time to fit everything you want to say into a video. Alright, catch you later. Thank you for being here. Remove the front bar from my Ender 5 Plus. Can we agree that it's entirely useless? Yes, we can. If you haven't seen, I also put some corner braces just to be sure, but yeah, the front bar on the Ender 5 Plus is totally useless and in the way. It's so annoying to be there. I have printed as fast as I feel comfortable printing on that machine and had zero issues with wobble or movement. I see no reason for that to have that front bar. Still admiring that green. I do love this green. I wish I could have used more of it, but it's PETG, and this machine really needs ASA for some of the other stuff. No big deal. A lot of people were confused and expected me to make that all kinds of funky colors. And I was close to doing it because I didn't think I had enough filament to achieve what I was trying to achieve, but I actually got it done. Yeah. Now this heat shrink doesn't want to come off of here. It was really handy for feeding these through the sleeving as I intended, but okay. Now I've got to pull the little tabs on these wires back out so I can put it back into the connector, and then we can get to running this machine and get to printing with it. That is a lot of filament. What, the barrel? The barrel is almost 2 kilograms of filament all said and done. I held off on printing it for a while because I knew that was going to be the case. Like, it's close to 2 seen the neon green ASA from 3D Jake. I have, and I want to get some to replace some of the parts on this with it. The problem is because 3D Jake is in Europe and I'm in America, it's really expensive. So it's like a $30 roll of filament that would cost me like $50 in shipping to get it here. So I've got to like set aside and come up with some more stuff to get from them, or just order a handful of spools, which I really don't have need of. So I'm weighing my options. I'm building a Voron V0. Can I print the top hat in PLA as a CR10 in one piece? Yeah, you absolutely could, I think. The top hat isn't going to be exposed to that much heat on the Voron V0. The top hat is mostly going to have to deal with, like, your chamber heat. So I printed mine in PETG. Here's my top hat for the Voron V0. I printed this in PETG, and I have 0 issues with this. Honestly, a lot of the parts on this that I printed in PETG, I'm not worried about. These handles, these strain relievers, I'm not worried about most of this stuff being PETG. Or even maybe PLA, but I just wanted to stick with like the same material as much as I could to get the best look out of it that I could. Looking at a Voron 2.4 build, I have most of the parts to build a 2.4 myself. Is there a reason people say the Noctuas aren't strong enough? They are weaker than some other ones, other fan options out there, but... Did I just... Okay, yeah, no. They are weaker than some other options out there, but for the most part, I think they're perfectly fine. I usually like we talked about, Nick, I overvolt them a little bit. It works good. It is a very technical build process. Like I was talking about earlier, I completely had to build this wiring harness from scratch. So, like, it's definitely a process to build this thing. Okay, I want to pull that picture back up. The front bar on the Ender 5 Plus is a headrest. I agree with that. That's about the best use for it. But more often than not, I just hit my head on it personally, so that's just annoying. Okay, blue. Yellow. Come on. Blue, yellow. Green, red. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Thank you for help through the email. I bought a CR10 V3. Awesome. Hope you love it. Hope it works out well for you. Sorry if I haven't gotten any back to anybody else in email lately. I've been so swamped lately. Hopefully now that this project's getting off my plate, I'll have a little more free time. I say that, I don't expect it, but it'd be nice. Alright. Now, I've got this excess wire all tied up. I just want to save this in case I want to change things. Do they make 1mm nozzles? Absolutely they do. They make 1mm, and they actually make all the way up to 1.8mm nozzles for 1.85mm filament. So yeah, totally do. Alright, plug this into the board. Boom. And I'm going to throw 1 or 2 zip ties in here just to cable manage things a little nicer. I'm going to change this. Always more projects. Yes, there are. I want to get some larger nozzles, some of the CHT nozzles in. I know Ben, It's Boy in Space, has played around with like the 1.8 millimeter nozzle. The CHT nozzle. There's a lot of fun stuff out there. I've been loving printing with the 0.8 millimeter nozzle that I'm using on the big barrel. It's been a lot of fun. So, all right, let's get this. Cool. Cable managed-ish. It could be better, could be worse. Could be better, it could be worse. Give you folks a better view. Could you go over bed adhesion? I have a full 3-minute video on TikTok. If you check out my new printer tips playlist, I have a full 3-minute long video about improving bed adhesion. Go check that out. I give a bunch of tips in there on how I do it. So, do you have a laser engraver? I do. I have an X-Tool D1 laser engraver. I'm not a huge fan of it, honestly. Yeah, just not a huge fan of it. So I haven't talked about it much because I haven't been using it because it's been winter and it would smoke out my shop. So we're really looking at investing in a CO2 laser. We're really considering it. Yeah, so we're considering getting a CO2 laser. I mean, the D1's okay. There's just a lot of things I don't like about it. It has no homing switches. It just like jams the head into the corner to home, and that's it. There's no switches on it. What got you into 3D printing? Cars. If you're not familiar, I was a custom car builder for a living. I built high-end custom hot rods and street rods and muscle cars, and I wanted to be able to 3D print parts for those. And I don't get one of the laser engraver conversion kit for an Ender 3. Don't even bother. All right, we're fired up here. Get this thing fired up a little bit, and we'll head into main sale, and we can check it out. And I'll show you the interface, and I'll show you how I have this set up a little bit. Yeah, the laser unit that I have is a 10 watt. The X-Tool D1 that I have, it's a 10 watt output laser. I really want way more power than that. I wouldn't go any lower than 10 watt for my purposes. I just feel like anything less than that's kind of pointless for me. Maybe somebody else will disagree. The units that they sell that you put on a the conversion kit you put on like an Ender 5 or Ender 3, that's Creality kit, that is like a 1 watt or a 0.65 watt. Like it's less than 10% of the output of the 10 watt unit that I have, and I could really stand for a whole lot more power. So I really don't recommend those conversion kits. I have a print suggestion, an octopus with articulated arms. Yeah, I'm just really not about those. If you're looking for a laser engraver, start looking at the K40. Look into K40 lasers. They're 40 watt CO2 lasers that have more functionality than a lot of other stuff, and they usually come in a full enclosure system, so you can better control the smoke on them. That's where I would recommend looking. Look at like a K40. A company reached out to me like last week about sending me one of their K40s, and I really wanted to try that out and show it off to people, but they haven't gotten back to me yet. So I will, hopefully soon, I'll have some more info for you. All right, folks, let's get into main sale. I think it should be fired up by now. I'll switch camera angle here to the horrendous screen sharing option. Hi! The terrible webcam on my iMac you folks get to look at. Sorry. I'm going to pull up main sale. What the heck? I'm bogging the Mac down with all this stuff. This iMac is not strong, to say the least. Okay, main sale. That's not what I wanted. I want a Cyber Voron. I renamed my main sale instance. My mic holder is not working with me. That's better. Okay, here we are in mainsail. This is how you control the Voron. Try and give you folks a view too. This is how we control the Voron in... Moved it. Through the web interface that they have here. So I can heat it up right here. I can cool down. I also have presets in here. So I've got mine pretty configured. I'm pretty happy with the config. I'll just give you a quick glance through my config file. Not that it's really going to help anybody unless you're running the exact configuration that I'm running here, but you might be. You could pause this at any time in a playback or whatever if you want to view my settings. I think I'm pretty happy with everything here. I had to adjust my motor currents. And also running the Bondtech LGX Extruder that I have on this setup, I had to reverse the direction of travel because it was running backwards. So the original setup has this right here, direction pin, has an exclamation point in front of it in the original configuration for this machine. I removed that exclamation point to direct it to travel the other way. But I had to put an exclamation point in front of the enable pin so that this would even work at all. But I've done some tuning and testing off of stream. This should all be pretty good, which means it's time to slice something, slice a design here. And being that this is the first print on this Voron, you know what? Wait, I'm going to go back there and I'm going to heat this thing up. I'm going to get it heating up a while. Close that. Back into the dashboard on mainsail. And 220 for print temp. And 65 on the bed. Give this thing some time to warm up while we are messing with slicing up the design to print on this thing. Alright. This poor thing. Alright, design cube. The Voron cube. This is the first thing we're going to print because it's the first thing you're supposed to print on a Voron, the test cube. So, there it is. This is the test cube that you print. You take a video of it and you post it to Reddit and you can get the serial number for your Voron project. So, this is what we're going to slice up and use for this. I'm going to go into the settings and tweak it a little bit, play around. I think 3 perimeters is fine. Not too worried about ensuring vertical shell thickness. Infill, we're going to use rectilinear because it prints faster. 10% is fine. Only retract when crossing perimeters. Cool. Speeds. Now, these are baseline speeds that the Prusa slicer profile has for this machine. Print and soak to temp. Yep, I'm letting it soak temperature. You're right. But on this machine, the Voron V0 that I have built here, the temperature sensor... Let me flip this camera real quick. The temp sensor on mine is actually on the top of the bed. So it takes a long time to reach temperature because it has to soak the bed before it picks up that temperature. I love that. It takes longer to heat up the bed, but you're getting a more accurate reading of the actual print surface temperature. So, bloop. Okay, back to these settings. Now you folks can really see a lot here. Baseline settings, 100 on perimeters, 40 on small perimeters. External perimeters are set to 40. I'm going to go to 60 on those. Infill set to 125. I guess we'll just stick with that. I don't want to tweak on this too much. I just want to get a successful print out of this thing. I'm going to see how long this is going to take, because if it's going to take too long with these settings, then we will come back here and adjust these, but I think we're okay. I'm going to bump those small perimeters to 50, actually. Bridges, 65, 50 on the gap fill. Let's take a look at advanced. We are, holy, 0.56 for the first layer. All right, I'm just going to see how that goes. And now we're going to take a look at our filament settings. I'm going to do 220 on the first layer, 215 on subsequent layers. Actually, I'm going to do 218 and 222. I know this filament pretty well. I think I'm just worried that I'm going to need more heat for the print to achieve what I'm trying to achieve. We'll find out. Alright, for retractions, we are going to do 0.4 millimeter on retractions. That's what the Bondtech LGX recommends. We're going to find out if that works. This is our literal first print on this machine, so I have no idea how it's going to behave to any of these settings. Max volumetric flow, we're going to like 30, because I don't know what we're going to end up with on this thing. This is not the barrel. This is the Voron V0 test cube we are printing. I'm getting set. The barrel is still printing in the background here, but it is not running right now. Or it's not on stream right now. It's still printing. Alright, let's slice this and see how long this print's going to take. I want to know. Hour 25. Whew, that's a lot longer than I hoped. I wanted to stream this. And I don't. Alright. Let's tweak some settings. I want to see this go faster. I want to do faster than an hour 25. We're going to go 75 on perimeters. 125 on the other perimeter setup. 150 on infill. 125 on 130 on solid infill. 75 on top solid infill. I have no idea if these settings are going to work. I don't know. So we are just going to YOLO it. I hate to say that phrase, but we're going to YOLO it because I don't know what we're going to be running here. So, sounds like rocket science. It kind of, sure, yeah. And I'm going to bump it down to 2 perimeters and see if that works out. 2 perimeters. Slice it. Let's see how long this is going to take. That didn't save us any time. None, which means that it increased. I wonder if something I haven't discussed much is a way to speed up prints is actually printing more perimeters, and I think that's what I'm running into here. If you print more perimeters, sometimes you need less solid infill, and solid infill prints slower. So let's bump it to 4 perimeters and see what that does. Yep, that brought us to 1 minute faster. I'm going to bump it down to 3 perimeters and see what that does. I think this time estimate is just wrong. It's saying 125 and it won't stop saying 125. I feel like it's wrong. We're going with 3 perimeters and we're going to try that. Yeah, I think that's what we're going with. Why are you doing 15 FPS right now? Ooh. Okay. Alright, I'm going to export this G-code, and we're going to give it a try. I have zero idea if this is going to work out at all. But we're going to find out. Alright, I saved that onto my computer. Now I have to go back into Mainsail and load it into the printer. Hello. Let's upload this. There's a little upload button up here I press. And where'd I put it? I put it in my 3D printing folder, Voron V0. Bam, there it is. Open. All right, we are up to bed temperature. We are up to extrusion temperature. You are right, I could up that and see if it would change. I'm just going to YOLO. I'm just going to go. We're going to print. We're going to see what happens. So let's move this thing around and point the camera at it. Changing camera angles. All right, first print is off. There we go, folks. First print is off and running on the Voron V0. Wonder if you folks can hear it. I'm gonna move the mic down a little bit. First print is off and running. The steppers sound like it's playing Space Invaders. Yeah, it's because I'm not running on stealth chop. I'm running spread cycle. So yeah, it makes some noise. No stealth chop. I could set it on stealth chop, but I'm letting it go full tilt. Right? Well, not full tilt by any means. It is actually quieter than an Ender 3. You're not wrong. What's the easiest way to edit the Kyle Cup to put my own logo on it? Ask me that in a video comment, and I will. I've done videos about it before, but I'll do another one. So, just ask me that on TikTok in like a video comment section, so I can reply to it. I'll gladly answer it. How long is it going to be? The estimate said an hour and 25 minutes, but we are already about 3 or 4 layers in, so I think that's rather wrong. But only time will tell. Give me a second. Let me start a stopwatch. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Start a stopwatch. Jet engines sound quieter than an Ender. You are not wrong about that either. Stopwatch running. And we're already a handful of layers in, so it's not very accurate, but yeah. I'm going to adjust the microphone here so you folks can hear a little better on stream. We are printing the Voron test cube, which is generally the first print that you do on a Voron. Can you tell that I sanded on that shroud? See those scratches in the face of it? I hate that. Somebody asked what hot end I'm using in this. I am running a Fadus Dragon hot end. Not the high flow version. I had the high flow version, but I changed it out for the standard flow because I was getting some heat creep issues on PLA, because it's really meant for higher temp materials. I'll switch back to the high flow version when I go to like ASA or PETG, but for right now, I just want to print some PLA with this thing to learn it a little bit. Where's the barrel? The barrel is still printing over there on the Ender 5 Plus. I will show you folks an update on that real soon, but right now we're printing with the Voron. I think I had the I had it limited to 200 millimeters a second, so now travel speed's actually where it should be at 300. Hello, hello, hello. I just want to test the audio on this microphone as I'm dialing it in here a little bit. Sorry if it gets a little spiky. Hi, sorry. I'm really happy so far. This is looking really good. It feels a little slow to me. I'm gonna look into Prusa Slicer real quick and see what we actually ended up with, like, settings wise. Oh yeah, these speeds are way slow. It's like bottlenecking it hard. I'm gonna see if I can dial up the speed in mainsail. I should be able to. I just dialed the speed up to 125% in mainsail. Why so many scratches? I sanded on that because it was a little bit rough finish on the face of it. And then I used acetone to smooth it because it's ASA, and the scratches showed up too bad. I'll replace that at some point. I'm going to get some neon green ASA to replace that. So for right now, it is what it is. Looks terrible on this camera angle, that's for sure. Looks better on the YouTube stream. Yeah, I just dialed the speed up to 125% because Prusa Slicer actually, I think, really slowed this down a lot more than it needed to. Oh yeah, I see what happened. Bad settings on my part. I screwed up. I accidentally set it so that it used the... There's a setting in Prusa Slicer. I'm just going to jump in here real quick and show you folks on the stream what happened. Screen sharing. This setting right here. Slow down if layer print time is below. I'm used to setting that on Creality machines and these on Prusa machines because it's layer time. It keeps it a slower layer time so that it can cool off sufficiently. But that really slowed this down. It really hurt me. So I just put it down to 1, and that was what I needed. That's why I was hitting the time bottleneck, because it just couldn't go any faster with the time constraints that it was under in that situation. I'm checking here. Yeah, no, 3 perimeters is the optimal. 3 perimeters saves me half an hour. Not half an hour, but it works. Okay. Back to watching it. Back to watching this thing print. How loud is it comparatively? It's actually, this thing is much quieter than any of my Creality machines stock were, even with it running the way it's running. But it's definitely not a quiet machine currently. I don't have Stealth Chop enabled right now. I am going to have a reverse Bowden tube on this. I just need to design what I want to do with it. So I will, but at the moment I don't, obviously. Just ordered my 2.4. Awesome. Where'd you order your 2.4 kit from? I'm self-sourcing. I self-source this, and I'm going to self-source my 2.4 as well. We are printing the Voron Cube. It's generally considered like the first print you do on a Voron. I'll show you a picture in a second. When you build a Voron machine, you print the Voron Cube, and then you send that to, you post that on Reddit, and they give you a serial number for your machine because it's a self-built machine. Here, that's what we're printing, a Voron Cube. The big barrel has about 30 minutes left on it. So I'll probably switch you folks over to looking at the big barrel shortly, just so you can take a look at it. That is TikTok. YouTube, I'm going to leave you folks watching the Voron. Anybody have any questions about this thing other than, you know, the bare essentials? I don't know. We are still printing perfectly fine at 125% speed. I am real tempted to dial it up to 150%. Where did the S go? There it is. What do you think, folks? Should I dial the speed up even more? Is the heat sag on the bed supports a worry? I know people have had that. I don't have the... I won't have that problem. I put the metal bed in mine. This is the Kirigami bed. So it's the bent metal design. It is a concern for the factory setup. It is kind of loud. It's not about being a quiet printer. It's really... In person, honestly, it's really not that loud. But it's definitely not a quiet machine. Especially once it gets pushing more speed, it's going to get louder. But that is what it is. But yeah, I replaced my... These are the stock bed extrusions. I replaced them with Kirigami bed. I highly recommend that. Somebody asked, what was the overall cost on this? My cost on my build, I've done the math, and it's around $1,100 to build this. You can build it a lot cheaper than that, don't get me wrong. A lot of people have built them for like $500-ish if you really get frugal about it. But I didn't cut corners, you know. I self-sourced because I wanted to get exactly what I wanted out of this thing. And also, that price doesn't include the fact that I had to buy a couple of things multiple times. Because, like, I built the original extruder, the Mini-Afterburner extruder, and then I swapped to this Bondtech LGX because I really didn't like the Mini-Afterburner. So, alright, let's push the speed up a little bit. That's 150% speed. I don't know if we're going to 200, but that's 150% speed. The table is vibrating. What's actually vibrating the most, I'll show you here real quick. That monitor, my second monitor, I'm shaky, so it's probably hard to see. Can you see it shaking? Yeah, I don't know if you can tell or not, but that monitor is shaking. But it's funny, nothing else on the table is. I did not strap it down to the table. I could. I've been thinking about that. When I really start to push this thing, I very well may have to strap it down. I've seen people do it. That 24/7 printing I've seen, I think I saw they strapped theirs down. What's your favorite printer you worked with? Honestly, my favorite printer to work with on a regular basis is still my Creality Ender 3s. Overall, they're really solid. I know them in and out, and I really know pretty much everything to do with them. So, yeah. Second runner-up, I am loving this thing. I have loved building this thing. Getting to this point has been excellent. It's been fun. So, it's been a huge headache, but it's been fun. We are printing a test cube, which is a, it's like the first thing you're supposed to print on a Voron, and that's what we're printing. So, I have no idea what speeds we're printing at right now because of the slicing error, but it seems pretty quick to me. Can you print a truck? I don't know what you mean by a truck. Just a regular, like, generic truck model, or the, like, a full pickup truck? What are my plans for it once it's dialed in? Honestly, just have fun learning and printing faster. And then I'd like to get it dialed in to the point where I can use it to prototype parts. So when I'm doing projects, I really want to be able to, like, print small components quickly, so I save myself a lot of trouble, you know what I mean? And that's what the goal of this is, just to have it as my rapid prototype machine. But I'm definitely going to play with speed printing and I'm probably going to set up some live streams here on TikTok where we just, like, hit it and go. What's a good slicer to pause your print mid-print to change color? Prusa Slicer is the best for that. Prusa Slicer has a really good function. If you check my printer tips playlist, I've got a video about how to do it, and it works so well in there. What upgrades have I done to my Ender 3s? Basically, mainboard upgrade to make it quieter, fan upgrades to make them quieter, and better part cooling fans, and that's really it. That's all I really feel you need to do to an Ender 3, in my opinion, for most people in most situations. How's the barrel? The barrel's going away over there. It's printing away over there. It's really close to done. I will show you folks as it's finishing up. Prusa Slicer is really good. I finally got around to trying it. Yeah, I really like it. Sorry to hear your laptop messed up, but I just vastly prefer Prusa Slicer. Absolutely. Ever had to messed up print mid-printing and had to restart? Oh, absolutely. Let me grab a good one for you. That was about 48 hours into a 56-hour print or something like that when it failed. Totally chopped the head off of it. It just stopped printing. Yeah, so that one, I gotta reprint that still. I haven't gotten around to it. I haven't bothered because it's just like such a thing. What are we making? We're making the test cube that you gotta print for this. Did you make the green sections? Anything black or green. I printed all this stuff. I designed this. Most of the rest of this is available mods or the original stuff you got to print for this project. But I printed all these lighter black pieces, that black shroud. I printed all the printable parts on this. And this is the only thing I designed that you can see is that piece right there. It is printing the Voron test cube. It's like the thing you're supposed to do. Give me a second, I'll show you folks. This is what we're printing. It's the test cube you do to like test these things out. It's what you have to do to get your serial number for the machine. Where did I put my tea mug? Anybody seen my tea? Oh, there it is. I'm almost out of tea. Tea's almost gone. Yes, you have to do a print to get your serial number. And it has to be in a fairly complete fashion, too. Like, the wiring has to be tidy. It has to look like a functional and, like, somewhat finished machine. They won't care that I didn't put the panels on this one yet, because this has, like, door, window, top hat panels. They won't care that I didn't put that stuff on yet, but they would care if the wiring was a mess. So, yes, you have to do a print, and then you get a serial number. So I'm going to, toward the end of this one, I'm going to start filming on my iPhone, so I can post that and get my serial number for this thing. Why are you printing so slow on the Voron? Because it's my very first print on it. That's why. Very first print. Just got my no-drop nuts, Kirigami, and MGN9 components out of ASA from Shady Biker with a Prusa farm. Cool. The Kirigami bed, I 1000% recommend. Glad you're going that direction. I use the LDO no-drop nut things, the tapped bars on this one. I'm pretty happy with those. And I'm still running the MGN7s on this, so I don't think I don't know. I don't really see a need for the MGN9s, but why no stealth chop? I just didn't feel like turning it on. I want to play with it as it stands and see how... I'm not sure how fast you can really push stealth chop, so... Looks like you need to take a link out of a drag chain. Now, this cheap drag chain is just like that. This cheap drag chain just does that. It's kind of annoying, but yeah. I mean, maybe I could take a link out of it, but I don't think so. No matter where you put it, it always kind of does that. Which is annoying, because it's going to rub on the side glass when that's the case. Or the side panel, which isn't cool. I'll probably end up designing something to hold it straighter. Like something I could put into this bottom rail and just push on it. We are at 150% on this badly sliced profile right now. So I think I'm going to push it up a little higher. That's 175%. I'm going to flip this camera around so I can see. Do you have to build it by buying each individual piece like a PC, or do the parts come together? Nope, you have to build it piece by piece. It might come with some things assembled, kit or self-sourced. It is self-sourced. I self-sourced this one, not a kit. So I cheaped out on the drag chain, and I shouldn't have. Millimeters a second, I honestly don't know right now. Prusa slicer screwed up on me. So let me take a look and see if I can do some math and figure it out. I screwed up a setting in Prusa Slicer, which caused it to go bad. So I sliced it badly, which meant that it was printing much slower than it should be. Let's slice and see what it says. Doesn't mainsail show the speed? Fluid does. I'll take a look, but I don't believe it does. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, it does. You're right, it does. It looks like we're bouncing, because it's changing speeds so rapidly, it's hard to say. Right now, 54 millimeters a second, so pretty slow for a Voron. Yeah, that was the problem. It was the layer minimum that I set, which really screwed me up. Yeah, like we're jumping anywhere from 50 millimeters a second to 90 millimeters a second on average on this right now. But I'd say the max rate we're doing on a continuous run is 50. Like 53 millimeters a second seems to be pretty much where we're pushing for perimeters. So pretty damn slow for a Voron. Spool of filaments on the table off to the side. Yeah, you were right. Let me show the screen here. Right here's the speed. You can see what's happening. It's fluctuating so much, changing, accelerating, whatever, that it's hard to say what the average of the speed is. But yeah. Change back. I'm using the Voron profile on Prusa Slicer. I upped the speed settings, but I screwed up because it has the profile has 20 second layer time set, and it'll slow down the print speed to 15 millimeters a second if the layer times are below or are above. No, I'm sorry, are below 20 millimeters a second. 20 seconds. If the layer times are below 20 seconds, it slowed it down to 15 millimeters a second. I forgot about that setting, so because it's printing so fast, like all the layers are below that speed, you know, or below that, so that kind of screws it up. And yeah, so that's what's happening here. I just have it dialed up to 175% speed. Any theoretical max on this machine? I don't know. You know, mine's a fairly stock Voron V0 configuration, so I'm hoping to print regularly with good quality over 100 millimeters a second. Shouldn't be an issue. We'll see. I'm absolutely going to push this thing and try and push it as hard as I can at some point, but for right now, you know, it's just a project, it's just something to play with, so we'll see. I think we could probably push this to 200%. Now push the speed factors to 200%. What machine would you recommend for people wanting to start 3D printing? I always recommend the Creality Ender 3 machine. It's by no means the best machine. It's absolutely not, but it's a good learning platform. There's tons and tons of information out there about how to use it, upgrades for it. It's got a good price point, a good value. That's my recommendation. Creality Ender 3. Yes, you can get cheaper machines. You can get machines around the same price with, you know, more features, but it all comes down to the value of the information with the Creality machines to me. So, yeah. I think I had Z-Hop on in the profile I sliced. Must be using firmware Z-Hop. I didn't put it on. What is on these machines that makes them sound so electronic compared to an Ender 3? Nothing. What you are hearing is the stepper motor drivers. The motors, the way they're being driven, making that sound. I'm just checking temperatures on the motors. They're feeling good. You're just hearing the motors do their thing. And it's actually the same sound you get on a stock Ender 3. That same noise profile, but it's just happening so much faster because this is printing at like multiple times the speed of what an Ender 3 generally prints at. Can we see the big barrel? Yes. Let me get you folks over there to check out the big barrel. It's nearing completion, so I want to show you folks. 10 minutes left. There it is. Coming down the wire. Only a few layers left on this thing. There it is next to the stock size, the standard size barrel. 250% barrel there. Yeah, I mean it's printed at a 0.8mm nozzle, so like you can see layer lines pretty good, but it looks so much better than I expected. I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. Probably gonna end up, I might end up using it as a wastebasket or a recycling bin in the studio or something, I don't know. I'm really happy with this. Yeah, sorry folks on stream. Let me switch cameras here. Yeah. So that's my big barrel. For anybody on YouTube who's not familiar, it's the big barrel that I've been printing live on TikTok. Let me switch camera here. I've been printing it live on TikTok. People watching. Yeah, so it's one of my designs, and that's a 250% scale version of it. Printing it with a 0.8mm nozzle, and it's printing in just over 24 hours. Keg cup. Yeah, I should do a keg cup soon, or a keg one of it soon, or my keg design. Did you do pause to color change? I paused to color change that. I didn't use a palette. I have a palette, but I didn't use that on that. I'm using just pause to change colors on that one. It plays with the wood grain. That's a good point. It does kind of give it that look. Come on, figure out the white balance, or the color here. Just wants to be overexposed, apparently. Oh yeah, now my monitor on the desk is really shaking. We were pushing 73 millimeters a second there. Any plans for a bigger Voron? Yes, I am building a 2.4. I'm self-sourcing that as well. I've got most of the pieces. I wanted to get this one done before I moved on to the 2.4. So I will be building a 2.4 in the near future. So, yep. I'm doing a 300 millimeter 2.4. 300 by 300. So, yeah. I should have gone with the 350. I was like, because I've got a Prusa XL on order. I've got the Ender 5 Plus. I was like, I'll just go with the 300 millimeter on this for this one. And I wish I wouldn't have. I wish I would have gone all the way to 350. It'll be fine. Like, it's not exactly going to be bad. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really am. But I should have gone bigger. Yeah, I think the only stuff I'm missing from my 2.4 build, I need a 5-volt power supply, I need bed, and a hot end. I think that's all I'm really missing from that build right now. Because I am doing the 5 extruders on the Prusa XL, yes. I am going to do the 5 extruders. I have a palette for multicolor printing, and I really don't like it very much. So I'm going to go with the 5 color setup on the Prusa XL. Yes. And I want to review it on YouTube and such. So, you know, might as well get the one that has everything so it's actually what people want to see. I want to do the Stealth Burner hot end on the 2.4. So I've been kind of waiting for them to update the Stealth Burner from beta to, like, production, quote-unquote production, but I'm probably just going to start on it soon and like leave I mean, extruder is one of the last things to deal with anyway, the hot end, so yeah, is what it is. I'll get there. I can't tell where the speed changed on this. Like, I cannot tell. Did I ever get the dual ender configured? No, I really haven't. I'm still not dialed that in where I'm happy with it, unfortunately. And I've just been so swamped with other projects, I kind of put it on the back burner. Hopefully this week I'll get back to it and work on it some more, but at the moment, no. If anybody's not familiar with what they're talking about, I have a Ender 3 with a Fadis Tai Chi hot end in it, which is the dual input hot end from Fadis that they're releasing. I thought it was supposed to be released already, but I don't think it was. What should I use to glue my PLA pieces together? A very popular product is called PLA Gloop, or 3D Gloop. Gloop. A lot of people like this. I have yet to use it, but heard great things about it. I don't glue prints together very much. I'm generally making my things as one piece, and if it fails, I print it again. So just finished the second video last night. How convenient also. Today was the first day printing again after my head injury. Well, welcome back to it. Hope you're doing all right. Do you sell your prints? I don't really. I have authorized resellers. If you check my links page, go check out my links page. There's a resellers list on it, and those folks are authorized to sell my designs. So go check that out. Please support them. That helps support me. They're patrons on Patreon who support me, and that's how they get the right to sell my designs. So the light still burns. I have photosensitivity on a regular basis, which having all these studio lights on me really drives me nuts sometimes, but tempted to get the hot end for my G-Tech A10M. Their hot end stock sucks. Isn't great, is what you said. But it's a good quality hot end. It's getting the settings dialed in on that thing that's the problem. So I like the quality of it overall. I like a lot of what they have going on with that hot end. I will do a YouTube video about it once I get the settings dialed in. I just haven't gotten them dialed in. I've got gigabytes of footage filmed for it. I've got to get to it, but I have to get it dialed in to do the finished video, so. Where's the barrel? It is finishing up over on another machine. I will show you folks an update when the barrel is pretty much finished, which is very soon. We're just playing with this as the very first print on this machine, so we're doing this. We're seeing how it goes. I'm gonna put a piece of paper in here. Need something to try and make this thing stop. It just won't get the exposure right over here. I hope your head injury heals up a little bit better for you there, Mitsuo level. I, knock on wood, been fairly lucky with that myself. Ugh. This is fun. I've got a 0.2 millimeter nozzle print happening on my Persia right now. 0.2 millimeter, 0.05 millimeter layer height. Doing a really fine detail little print. I've got my Persia X, or not my Persia X, my Ender 5 Plus, the just finished a 0.8 millimeter nozzle print with 0.4 millimeter layers. And this one's running a 0.4 millimeter nozzle and printing pretty fast. So it's just interesting to do these different things. And the big barrel just finished, so folks on TikTok, I'm going to show you the finished product, and folks on YouTube, I will bring it over here to show you in a moment. Let's go check out the barrel. It just finished over there. The big barrel just finished up. There it is. It took 1 day and 5 hours and 38 minutes. So 29 hours to complete it. Because I had a couple of failures, I had to play with slicer settings. There's the original barrel size. That's a 250% scale. Let's get these out of the way. I can pop this thing off the build plate. Need a Donkey Kong to put in it. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. I might have to look for some Donkey Kong models. Alright, you ready to see this thing pop off the build plate? It's still hot, so I'm not sure it's going to pop real nice. We'll find out. Oh yeah, that is stuck. Boom. Oh, holy crap, this thing is heavy. It took almost 2 kilograms of filament to produce, so that's not surprising. Wow, this is heavy. I want to weigh this now. I don't know if my scale is going to go high enough. Oh. Is there a good slicer tutorial for 3D printing? I don't know of any offhand to tell you. I recommend Persia Slicer as a slicer, but there are some tutorials out there for it, but not like amazing ones. Alright, I'm going to weigh this thing real quick. What's the difference between the Voron V0 and the Ender 5 Plus? A lot. The Voron V0 is a Core XY machine with a print volume of 120 by 120. The Ender 5 Plus is a standard Cartesian type machine. Well, with a XY, it's not a Core XY. Completely different kinematic design with a 350 by 350 build volume. Fill it with banana. Yeah, I should like put this in our kitchen and use it for bananas. Okay, scale is set up. I'm gonna check how heavy this thing is. 1,462 grams. This turned out to be 1,462 grams. Let's convert that, because I can't do that in my head offhand. I could do it with like the formula, but I don't feel like it. 3.2 pounds. 3¼ pounds. 3¼ pounds. Yeah. There it is. This thing, I'm glad I didn't go bigger. I almost went for 350 millimeters. I'm glad I didn't. Got an Ender 3 Pro that's thermal running away. Change temp prop. Still doing it. Any ideas? I would look at doing. Say hello to Brazil, Porto, Alegre. Or you mean Brazil? I don't know. What hot end have I paired with the LGX? There is a Phaetus Dragon in there. A Phaetus Dragon Voron version, which is just colored differently. But yeah, Phaetus Dragon makes a funny noise talking over this thing. Phaetus Dragon is the hot end I'm running. It's a standard flow version. I had the high flow hot end, but I'm using PLA right now, and that was causing heat creep issues on PLA. So I switched to the standard flow heat break in it, and that seems to be working out really well. I would look at a PID auto tune. That's what I want to do. Bracket to mount the switch on this thing. That might be excessive. I would look into a PID auto tune. It could be that the settings are just really off on yours, and that's causing a problem. Another thing I would look at is, for thermal runaway issues, watch the temperatures on your screen and see if your hot end is like jumping up wildly. Like, look for one of the readings to be out of what you expect it to be. Is it like jumping up really fast? Is it jumping up slowly? Look at that. If your cooling fan for your part cooling that cools the plastic is blowing onto your nozzle, that can cause issues because it can't heat up enough. So it pushes more temperature, which then can cause a thermal runaway issue. So I would look at things like that. All right, I'm gonna switch you back to this camera angle again. Wrong angle. Let's get you folks over here. All right. Now you folks on stream can see the barrel a little better now. I'll film a little video of this thing printing. Cool barrel, thank you. I'm happy with the way this turned out. This is fun. Can you imagine? Can you believe? Like, this is the first like serious big print I've done, and this printed in 24 hours. Like, that's amazing to me. 29 hours complete for freaking 3¼ pounds of material. I think that's pretty impressive. I printed your Kyle cup and use it for my daily morning monster. My students love it. Awesome. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Now you have a little keg holder. Yeah, too bad I don't drink. I'll have to find a root beer keg that fits in here. How much longer do we have on this print here? Supposedly another 12 minutes left. We got 30 layers left to do on this print. I'm going to let this print finish. That's going to be a little over 2 hours on the stream. That sounds about right to me. I'd hoped this would be a little quicker, the overall stream, not the print. But hey, it's doing all right. I wish this damn thing would get a better light going here. Oh, I'm gonna mess with lighting real quick, see if I can't fix the TikTok stream a bit. Well, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to turn down the light, not turn it off. Alright, that's better. Alright. Show inside the barrel. It's just a big open cavity in there. Make a good trash can. You can stick all kinds of stuff in there. Stick a little Fadus guy in there. Little Fadus guy can stand on top of this thing. I love this little Fadus. You know the Kingroon KP3S. Yes, I have one. I do know the machine. I have one. You have questions about it or want some input on it? Looks like a great drinking cup. Got a hole in the bottom. Specifically for that, to prevent that. Do you have a video on retraction for an Ender 3? Yes, sort of. On my new printer tips playlist on TikTok, I have a whole video about tuning retractions. It's for any machine, but I'm pretty sure I demonstrate it with an Ender 3. So, it's called on my new printer tips playlist. There's definitely a video about tuning retractions. So. There's also the other problem with oh no, I changed it actually. There's a hole. There's usually a bung hole, a completely empty hole in this design, but I changed it a little bit. Can you print a sword? I could. I usually print my own designs primarily is the thing. I pretty much stick to printing my own stuff. Like this is my own design, this barrel. And so I just, you know, I've never designed a sword, so I haven't printed it. A lot of folks print other people's designs, is what their content is about, and it's cool. People love it. I get it. It's just not my thing. I like to design my own prints, and my own stuff, so people can download my designs and print them. So. How much longer we got? 7 minutes left on this print. I'm gonna dial it up. We are now at 225% speed on this print. How are you, buddy? I'm all right. A little tired. Could stand to go to the bathroom. Hungry. I want to go spend time with my partner. I expected to be done this hours ago, but I had some issues earlier, so. But I'm doing okay. How are you? How's everybody doing out there? You were my idol. Wow, that's a lofty thing to have, but thank you. I appreciate that, and I hope I live up to it. I think we hit an acceleration limit at this point. This design's just too small to hit any faster speed. We're at 225% speed, but I'm only seeing speeds in a neighborhood of 58 millimeters a second. I just don't think it can. I don't think the machine can currently accelerate fast enough. What's a recommendation for a resin printer? Where's the root beer tub? It's right here. Here it is. Need to print this as a life-size barrel. Oof. Gonna get me in trouble, Jared. This took almost 2 kilograms of filament. This thing cost me about 30 bucks. Do I put my models up for download? Yes. Thangs.com/mandicreally. Thangs.com/mandicreally, and all of my designs are on there for free. Most of my designs. I have a few on Patreon, but most of them are free on Thangs. I'll drop it in the chat right now. What recommendation for a resin printer? I like my Anycubic Photon Mono. I'm fond of that. The Kingroon KP6 that I've been showing lately has been doing me pretty good. What's the most expensive thing you've printed? My Voron? The Voron V0? How much do these cost to make? This cost me about $1,100 to build. Is the CR10 a good first printer? Yes. There's tons of information about using a CR10 out there. A lot of people like them. So they're heavily used in print farms and for cosplay. So they're my recommendation for a larger printer that, if you want to start out with a larger printer, that's my recommendation. What's a good beginner printer? For my general recommendation for a beginner printer is the Creality Ender 3 series. Tons of information out there about them. They're not the best machines, but they're highly upgradable. They're easy to repair. There's lots of information out there about how to use them, so that's why I recommend them. What are we building? I'm finishing building my Voron V0. We're just printing the test cube. It is it's the first print you're supposed to do on a Voron, so that you can get your serial number for it. So that's what we're printing. Oh, we're crossing over 100 millimeters a second now on the top layer. Brazil, Brazil, Brazil! This is what we're printing right now on this machine. I'm gonna film this a little bit with my phone. Ah! Bumped my light. Do you sell your prints? No, I don't. I rarely do. I do limited run sales sometimes. For the most part, if you want some of my designs printed, check out my reseller list. There's a link on my links page, and it's done. This thing is done. It took 1 hour and 2 minutes. 1 hour, 1 minute, and 59 seconds. Is that a new 3D printer because it looks new and damn fast? It is new. I just built it. It's not a new design by any means. The barrel is done. Here's the barrel. This is it. This is a new printer. I just built it. This is a kit you have to build. It's the Voron V0. And yeah, pretty fast. It was printing toward the end there at about 100 millimeters a second, which it could go a lot faster than that, but... Who would you most like to follow you on TikTok? Hank Green used to follow me on my old account. I'd like him to follow me again. I don't really look up to people. I like what Hank does, and he used to like give me some helpful tips about being a better creator on like private videos he would do for people that like he's mutuals with. But that was my old account, and when it got banned, he has never come back around to my new account. You should be verified. Thank you, but I'm not famous enough, I guess you should say. All right, folks, first print is done. The first test cube on this machine. Let me check this out here. All right. We are done. Our very first print on the Voron V0. And yes, the barrel is finished too, for those who wanted to see that. All right, I'm gonna switch camera angles on YouTube. For folks who couldn't see really on YouTube, here's the barrel. A much larger view of it. Yeah. All right, folks, that's my Voron V0. Turn the light back up a little bit. Turn this light back up. All right, there we are. And there it is. First print is done. I'm not gonna have any time to do any more. What happened to the colorful barrel? It's right here. Is the Mini-Nuke on your Patreon? No, Mini-Nuke is on Thangs. It's free. Mini-Nuke is free to download on Thangs. I've got the big Mini-Nuke back here. I don't have one of the small ones handy. There's my Mini-Nuke design. The big version of it. That's free to download on Thangs. So, there's two versions of it. This version, which I call the cookie jar, which is empty. It's hollow, so it's good for like a storage bin. And then there's the can cup version of this as well. So, all right, folks, that's gonna wrap it up for this stream. We have successfully, finally, I am so happy to say, printed with my Voron V0. It's just been such... What's that blue thing on the rack? I don't know what you mean. There's just LEDs back there, so... I'm so happy this thing is up and running. Finally, I can start putting this thing into service, get it running. I got to do some like cable management with this wiring here. I'll figure that out. I got to get the strain relief in a better situation. I might print my own upgrade design for this, but we'll cross that bridge later. I'll do a roundup. I'll do a YouTube video when I'm done this as to my full build configuration. So I can show people what I did, what I'm happy with, what I'm not happy with, what I would change if I did this again, just to give people some insight from my perspective anyway. So, all right, I'm gonna ditch out here on YouTube. Thank you folks for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you for following along with this 2-hour-long stream and the first print on my Voron V0. Thank you to everybody who's been active in the chat. It is appreciated. And I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye once I find my buttons to say goodbye.
Transhumanism.